Do you have an MCAT CARS strategy to prepare for this challenging exam? As you probably already know, MCAT performance influences interview invite rates and medical school acceptance rates. This means that you must have an effective approach to reading, understanding, and analyzing MCAT CARS passages to score high on this section of the MCAT. In today's video, I'll reveal the 5 MCAT CARS strategies that help you identify CARS question types, teach you how to actively read the passages, and outline a step-by-step strategy for choosing the correct answers. Hi, my name is Joseph Kafka, and I'm an admissions associate here at BeMo. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe on whatever social media channel you're watching this from now so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And if you would like us to help you ace the MCAT, go to BeMoMCAT.com to schedule your free initial consultation. As a quick tip, check out the timestamps in the description of this video to navigate to specific sections of the video that you're interested in. Here's everything we're going to cover on MCAT CARS strategy. What's the purpose of CARS? MCAT CARS strategy number 1, active reading. MCAT CARS strategy number 2, practice reading challenging texts. MCAT CARS strategy number 3, identify CARS question types. MCAT CARS strategy number 4, a step-by-step answer strategy. MCAT CARS strategy number 5, work on your speed. Now, let's get started. CARS is the second section of the MCAT. It consists of 53 questions split between 9 passages with 5 to 7 questions per passage. It's important to note that no background knowledge is needed to answer CARS questions, as all the information you will need is contained within the passages. It's definitely difficult to prepare for CARS, but I'm here to give you MCAT CARS tips and strategies on how to ace this section of the MCAT. How you read the text will greatly determine your progress in reading and understanding of CARS passages. So, the number 1 MCAT CARS strategy for acing this section is active reading. Rather than simply skimming over the passages, it might be a good idea to read them out loud. As you read, stop after each paragraph and identify its main point. You may want to highlight any keywords or sentences within the paragraph that you find important to the overall message of the paragraph. These can often serve as important supporting evidence, so make sure you know what the words and concepts mean. Take the time to look them up if you need to. After reading each paragraph, summarize its main point in your own words, and make sure you understand what it is contributing to the passage at large. Once you finish reading the passage, before you read the questions, use your own words to identify the main point or central thesis of the passage. Think of the following questions to help you pinpoint the thesis. What is the topic of this passage? Does the author feel good or bad about this topic? Using a specific paragraph within the passage, summarize what the author is doing. Are they giving an example to support or refute their main point? Are they comparing and contrasting concepts? Are they stating their own opinion? These simple questions help you understand the content and structure of the passage, identify its main points, and pick out important supporting evidence within the text. Let's be honest, people who do well on their MCAT CARS are the people who read a lot. Yes, some people start preparing for CARS only 4 to 6 months before they take the test, but the truth is, comprehension and analysis are skills that are developed by prolonged and extensive reading of complex and challenging materials. So ideally, students who are looking to do well on their CARS should start reading extensively 2 or 3 years before they take the test. If you do not have the luxury of time, I suggest you accustom yourself to read challenging material as much as possible, as soon as possible. Set aside at least 30 minutes of your day to read classics of literature, literary articles, journals, and other scholarly materials. Be aware it's not enough to practice for CARS using CARS sample passages and questions. You must do outside reading in addition to practice passages to succeed on your CARS. So check out our blog for a full and helpful list of reading materials, such as magazines, humanities and social science journals, and literature to help with your reading. These resources help you to improve your comprehension and reasoning skills as you expand your vocabulary and broaden your perspective. Make sure you apply the same system of identifying the main arguments and theses to your practice reading. If you're reading an article, reflect on what the author's point of view is and identify the main theme of the article. Key to your MCAT CARS strategy is understanding and identifying the 3 question types that will be included in this section. It is common for students to have trouble identifying the type of questions they are facing. So it will be vital to learn how to identify the question types to answer them correctly. This type of question will assess your understanding of the passage. Before you can even attempt the other 2 question types, you must be able to tackle comprehension questions first, because you can't analyze the passage without understanding it. Foundations of comprehension questions may ask you about the overall main point of the passage or the author's thesis and central ideas. They may ask you to select definitions of specific words or phrases based on the context in which you find them. Comprehension questions will help you build the foundation that will allow you to think about the concepts or facts you read in the passage in a new light, so that you can tackle the other 2 question types. Here are some examples of foundations of comprehension questions. Which of the following phrases most accurately captures the author's theme? Which of the following best represents the author's conclusion? Which approach does the author favor? These types of questions will require you to integrate components of the text to increase comprehension of the passage and evaluate the author's use of an argument or claim to support his or her intention. Essentially, you are looking to assess the logic and plausibility of the text, the soundness of the arguments, the reasonableness of the author's conclusions, the appropriateness of the evidence, and the credibility of the author and the sources he or she cites. This may sound like a tall order, but most of us perform these tasks on the daily basis. We often analyze information that is presented to us to decide whether it's legitimate. Our news and advertisements, for example. Here are some examples of reasoning within the text questions. Which of the following quotes is presented as evidence of the author's position? Which of the following passage assertions are presented as evidence of the author's point? Which conclusion does the author use this example to support? What is a weakness in the argument that the author makes to support their conclusion? These questions will ask you to apply or extrapolate concepts from the passage to new contexts, or evaluate the impact of new information on ideas in the passage. Reasoning beyond the text may require you to apply the information in the passage to a new situation or use it to solve a problem outside the context of the passage. The correct answer is the option that is the most likely outcome based only on the information provided in the passage and question. So once again, forget bringing in any outside knowledge. Though the questions are asking you to reason outside of the text, you must still operate within the knowledge parameters set out by the passage and the questions you are given. Here are some examples of reasoning outside of the text questions. Someone who agreed with the author's main point would also be likely to agree with which of the following. Which new example is most consistent with the author's definition? Which new situation best describes what is described within the text? If it were known that blank, how would this affect the conclusion reached by the author? Imagine that blank, how would this affect the author's argument? When you are ready to tackle the questions, start by carefully reading each question and the answers provided. If you are having trouble identifying the correct answer, follow these steps. Identify the question type. Identify the author's point of view and not your own. Remember the main thesis and arguments you identified when reading the passage. What type of essay is in front of you? Is the passage a compare and contrast essay, a metaphoric text, a list of ideas, a cause and effect article, and so forth? If you do not understand a sentence, read it again. If you do not understand after several attempts, you can leave it and return to it a little later, or you can try looking up any words that are unknown to you. A good practice is to try to produce your own answer before reading the answers that are provided to you. Once you have your own answer, you can then pick a provided answer that matches your own. Identify clearly wrong answers. such as answers not supported by the text, and eliminate them from your list of choices. If you are stuck and cannot pick the right answer, you should pick the one you think is the most correct and flag that question. Keep in mind, MCAT is a timed test, and you only have 90 minutes for this section. So move on to the next question and come back to this question later if you have time. And remember, perfect practice makes perfect. You will need to practice with CARS sample passages and questions, as well as additional reading before you see improvement. During the initial stages of your MCAT CARS strategy and preparation, you should not focus on time. You should focus on answering the questions correctly before you move on to working on your speed. Most students struggle to identify the correct answers in the initial stages of the CARS prep. This is completely normal. When you start studying for CARS, your primary goal should be to identify the question types and slowly work on answering the questions correctly. Remember, CARS prep takes months of hard work, so your progress will depend on whether you practice with additional CARS passages and read complex materials. Only start working on your speed once you are consistently answering the questions correctly. This wraps up our video for today. Check out our blog to learn more about MCAT CARS strategy, including sample CARS passage questions and expert answers. I've included a link in the description of this video so you can find our resources easily. If you would like us to help you ace the MCAT, go to BeMoMCAT.com to schedule your free initial consultation. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, so please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. If you have any questions about MCAT CARS strategy that I didn't cover in this video, let me know in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.